It's podcast night, and you know what that means.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, we do.
Sorry for those listening. It means we're going to drink and talk about wrestling.
Pretty much, as we always do.
Yeah.
But welcome, one and all, to another episode of the A2theK Wrestling Show. Not gonna lie, I still haven't come back down from last week when we spoke to the legendary Diamond Dallas Page. Did you know? I'm sure you know, because we told everybody. But yeah, what even
we're
is this
still
like?
telling people.
We are still telling people. But as always, I am Carl, and joining me as always, it is Anthony. Together, we are the Middle-Aged Outlaws, the Abundance of Averageness, and the Drunkadactyls. A to the K.
The Dork Order. That's still another one.
Yes. See, merch. We just got merch coming out of our ears. That's all I'm saying.
No, thanks for that lovely warm welcome, Carl. I really appreciate it. Another fun-filled week. And obviously, yeah, I mean, we spoke to Diamond Dallas Page. I said last week, I think we might have peaked at that. That's just boss.
We did.
And it's only right, I won't bore everyone because we're going to talk about it, but it's only right that we continue the Diamond Dallas Page train. So we're going to do some more talking this week on our favourite film, which just happens to feature him as the best villain ever.
Almost like he was planned that way, right?
Almost deliberate. But yeah, that's going to be such a good segment. I really do look forward to it.
Absolutely. But before, Anthony, before we kick off the show, as we always do, as has become a time-honoured tradition on this show, we need to kick off with A2theK's little-known fact of the week. And here is Road Dogg
music
to play that funky music.
Oh, you didn't know?
That's right. And Anthony,
boss,
did you know? Maybe you don't. Cody Rhodes. He has many accolades. Yeah, probably.
I know.
You know of him. But Cody Rhodes has had many accolades in the wrestling business, a plethora of championships. But did you know Cody Rhodes is the only wrestler to ever win a championship by beating himself? Because at Clash of Champions 2008, Cody Rhodes and his tag team partner Bob Holly were defending their tag team titles against Ted DiBiase Jr. and a mystery opponent, which was revealed to be none other than Cody Rhodes, turning on Bob Holly to win the tag titles. But with Ted DiBiase Jr., being his tag team partner, and Cody being basically he beat himself, and he ended up going on to win the tag team titles that he already kind of had. So yeah.
So he just exchanged partners.
I mean, yeah, there were some keys, there was a bowl, but we didn't talk about that for the storyline. But yeah, so Cody Rhodes beat himself for the tag team championship that he already had. But still, he goes down in history as the only wrestler to ever win a championship by beating himself.
I'll let you do the close to that. I do want to moan about that for a sec though.
Okay, well let's it's only right to have Road Dogg closes off by saying this.
Of course.
Oh, you didn't know?
Yeah. And it's funny because we still can't hear that, so I have to wait for a progress bar to go across the screen.
And we hope. Guess at it.
We pray, we hope.
And Carl's got the progress bar, so I just have to kind of wait till he starts talking again. I don't know.
Which must be horrible, to be fair. No one wants to wait to hear me speak.
So, what I wanted to say about this, Carl, and this is just, there's no home for this little thought, but what qualifies as making history? Because it stemmed from the fact that I keep seeing it now, like, oh, Rey Mysterio and his son made history being the first ever father and son tag team. It's like, there's a lot of first evers that, like, you don't count as making history, like the time Braun Strowman won tag titles with an 11-year-old, or the time Vince McMahon wrestled God, and various bits. Was it Vince? Yeah, and various things that go down in history as the first ever time that happened, that you don't go, well, that went down in history. It just kind of happened, and we'll just kind of pretend it didn't. So what do you think qualifies as going down in history? Because I'm like, surely, like, anyone can make history if you think of something random enough, is my point.
I mean, that is a fantastic point, but all it makes me think is maybe we should make history by coming up with some random shit to be the first people ever to do that random shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it could be meaningless, but still, we've made history
Oh, it's
because we're the first people to do it.
This is the thing. Like, if for whatever reason I managed to set foot into a WWE ring and I did it wearing only one shoe, would I go down as the very first, like, down in history as the first person to enter a WWE ring with only one shoe?
Okay,
Carl's gonna find this and go, no,
very,
this person.
very dark joke. Pretty sure Zach Gowen did that.
Fine. Let's think of another. Okay,
yeah.
This is harder than I thought it was. Okay, let's.
That's what she said.
Okay, so let's say like this has probably been done as well, but like I'm British, so I enter the WWE ring with British currency in my pocket. Am I the first one to ever enter the WWE ring with £1 in his pocket?
You're forgetting the £1 million man.
Damn it.
Ted DV no flossy. I don't know. Yeah. You know what though? It is an excellent point, because I think we speak a lot about WWE wanting to, they're a big fan of firsts, but what actually, counts as being like noteworthy enough to be history making as a first. So I think you're absolutely right. Maybe that is a whole new segment in its own right at some point in time.
I'm just wondering, like, because some things, like, I'm not discrediting Rey and his son, like that is a cool first, you know what I mean? That is a cool thing to say you've done first. But the inference to me when you go, this goes down in history, the first ones to ever, is that there's going to be more. Now, I don't know how often you'll get that, but I suppose there will be eventually. But it's like, how random, like, do you want WWE just going to play the entire of Raw in reverse to be the first ever show that was played backwards? Like, that's history, I suppose. But
I mean, if they did that, it would probably make more sense than playing it forwards. So I would be for that.
I know, but the match would start with a pin.
I mean, yeah, crazier shit's happened, to be fair.
And then everyone would moonwalk up the ramp, and that'd be that.
Do you know what? I just want to, literally, yeah, I want to see that. That would be infinitely better.
So yeah, sorry, this didn't really have a home. This isn't a news segment or even a unique segment. I'm just like, I'm slightly perplexed with this whole, they made history. It's like, who decides when they've made history and when they've just done something random? I don't know.
I like it. You're right. You are right.
Yeah. Anyway, Carl, coming up in the news this week. Yeah, take that segue. We have John Cena potentially returning to the WWE soon. We get that every once in a while these days. So let's see. Let's see what this one is. We have Rey Mysterio in talks as to whether Dominic will be wearing a mask. We have the one and only Mojo Rawley saying that fans will see the real him in a matter of days. That doesn't work on a podcast. Air quotes, real him in a matter of days. We have WWE earning $1 million payday from zombie appearance at WrestleMania Backlash. At least he got something out of it. We have Enzo Amore being rushed to hospital. I said with too much enthusiasm. Sorry, Enzo. We have Keith Lee being uncertain about his future. And I'm just going to keep the same tone. That was also said with too much enthusiasm. We have TNA teasing potentially Daniel Bryan and the Iconics for Slammiversary. Are they trolling? Probably. We have Rey Mysterio again talking about his daughter Aaliyah's future in wrestling. We have Rey Fenix injury maybe keeping him out of Double or Nothing. We have WWE bringing back the $1 million belt. We have a former WCW and WWE star, Mr. Buff Bagwell, arrested for more than 10 charges, Carl. Damn. It's a new record, surely. We have the sad news that's Alexa Bliss's pet pig, Larry Steven, I believe his name was, has passed away after vets refused treatments, which is a bit of an unusual one. And then the last one, we have commentator Adnan Verk has parted ways with WWE after just 7 shows. What's going on there?
Yeah.
So that's the headlines for the week, Carl. That's the headlines for the week. So going right back to the top of the card there, Carl. Do you want to talk to us about John Cena coming back to WWE?
We kick off with John Cena. So, normally we can't see him, but we might see him soon because
China can see him.
Yeah.
It's not in the news, but yeah, apparently he's had to issue some apologies.
Yeah. So basically, as Anthony said, this gets referenced quite a bit. It's in the news quite often. that John Cena may be returning to WWE from Hollywood. And there's been some unconfirmed rumours going around this past week that said it was set to coincide with WWE's return to the road in July, beginning with the Money in the Bank weekend. Recently, in an update, it was reported by F4W Online that Cena's return is still being discussed for the first show back with fans in the crowd, which again would be the July 16th, my birthday, edition of SmackDown on Fox. Had to get that in there as well. By the way,
birthday edition of SmackDown.
That's it. If anyone listening to this right now wants to send me gifts, I'll make an Amazon wish list. I can pick some sexy things you can send me too.
Oh God!
But still,
why is it all lingerie?
Sidebar. I know, right? But still, but yeah. So I don't know. I think recently WWE announced that they would be returning to the road, a 25-city tour that begins with the SmackDown show on July 16th in Texas. So they're going to be going all over the arena. I think since this news article came out, they have also advertised the likes of Edge and they've advertised the likes of Bianca Belair. But
okay, we'll be keeping Edge backstage until it's needed.
Pretty much,
yep.
Yeah. But
Edge versus John Cena confirmed.
Well, exactly. But Cena, who obviously has been pretty preoccupied with Hollywood at the moment, has spoken to Den of Geek, and he basically said that he really wants to get back to WWE as soon as he can. Said, I really want to get back. I really want the audiences to get back to WWE. I'm with everybody. I think about the world, saying I just want the world to get back to normal. But these are interesting times. I have a lot of interesting opportunities at my feet, and I really do appreciate the WWE universe understanding that, after so many years of, what he's been doing. So.
I like it. He wants the world to get back to normal. He's in a cinematic universe where he's Vin Diesel's brother. What is normal to that man?
Who knows? I mean, what is normal to a guy you can't see? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
And what is love?
I don't know, but just don't hurt me. That's all I'm asking you. Don't hurt me.
So the next one, Carl. We've had some recent talks, not us, people, wrestling people. Now, Rey Mysterio has been recently asked about Dominic and his wrestling career and the potential of him donning a mask, which, as you know, there's some significance there. It has to be earned. It's not something you just decide to wear. So they have some talks about that, and it was quite an interesting one, actually. The Wrestling Inc. reported on it if anyone wants to check out the full article. But he talked quite a lot on sort of how everything sort of came about, and apparently, it was never really the original plan. The whole Seth Rollins situation, or the subsequent feud and match they had, that was all sort of sudden, and not the sort of original plan they'd laid out. And basically, Ray's suggesting that that's kind of altered the plan and the path, if you will, for Dominic, which is obviously still going to be an awesome career, but he's sort of suggesting it now in a sense of like, yeah, he's just going to have to sort of find his own way and earn his own path, and they'll sort of not really given a proper indicator, but they'll sort of know when he's earned it, kind of thing. I think personally it's going to be a feud that comes. I think it's going to be a match between him and Ray at some point, isn't it? I think you've alluded to that before now. And he won't be given much away at this point, but that's it's a money match right there. Be a really good moment to see as well, wouldn't it? On top of that as well, they've suggested about obviously what would the look of it be, and Dominic has made some comments about that and suggesting that like he doesn't want to totally copy his dad in terms of attire, understandably, but at the same time he's acknowledged the fact that his dad's attires over the years have been really fucking cool, emulating the likes of the Joker and the Flash and stuff like that over the years, and has suggested he might want to try and put a unique spin on some of his dad's older attires, maybe like from way back, the WCW days, maybe even. So it'd be interesting to see in terms of stylistically how close he gets to his dad's attire in that appearance, and when we're going to see that sort of that feud that ends in the mask. So yeah, basically we've not got an exact date, but it's going to be an interesting journey.
I mean, we have a very vested interest in this. As you may know, if you are fans of the show, we have a segment which is called Behind the Mask, So we spoke to the wonderful Stanley Sherman, who was the creator of the Mick Foley's Mankind mask, as well as Undertaker's mask, Mask for Abyss, and several others in our kind of premiere episode. And I mean, I'll be honest, we are in communications and hoping to get an episode with the man who makes Rey Mysterio's attire, his masks, his costumes, and also now Dominic's as well, the wonderful Hayashi Mishiro. So yeah, fingers crossed that does happen, because
again, I don't think we'd manage to get it out of him, but it'd be interesting to know if he's already got some preliminary ideas or designs for any sort of mask for Dominic as well.
Absolutely. We spoke a while ago about Dominic potentially being Prince Mysterio, which would make a lot of sense. Obviously, as the son of Rey, and I will reserve my judgment on Dominic so far. I think he does have a lot of potential. Whether or not he has been in the mix too soon remains to be seen.
I'll firmly say I think he has been in the mix too soon. I don't think it's in any way down to him. I think WWE saw the money in the name and the potential of that sort of all eyes on Rey Mysterio being involved in this sort of stuff. And let's be honest, if you were in this situation, you'd take that opportunity as well.
Yeah,
as a fan, I'm like, oh yeah, that was way too soon. I think the Seth Rollins one was executed like brilliantly, if I'm honest, because it wasn't like, wow, he suddenly squashed Seth out of nowhere. It was done realistically. I think what they're doing with him now, probably not so much, but it's one of them. As I say, if I was in that situation, I'd take that as well. So
yeah,
can't blame
me too. Me too. But yeah, so hopefully we will. Basically, what I'm saying is, hopefully we'll shed some light soon for you, because we are keen to speak to the mask and costume creator of both of these guys, and hopefully he will.
It is cool though to think that although like you say, he's on, like, some people could argue that he is on the main roster a bit too soon. He's not served any time in NXT or really Performance Center and that as much. But it's nice to know that, like, it's almost like a thing, isn't it? Like, he'll know he's made it when he earns that mask. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of people who've earned it, maybe. So the next one for me, I want to talk about Mojo Rawley. So he has been missing for a while, shall we say. To think a couple of years ago, he was very heavily featured in the whole thing with him and Rob Gronkowski at WrestleMania. Gronk, just Gronk. It's easier, isn't it? The Gronk. But yeah, so.
And then you could really argue after that, WWE kind of lost its mojo.
Ooh, right in the Rawleys. But so yeah, I don't know. I think obviously there's been a lot of kind of speculation around what's happened with him, and he potentially. I mean, it's still speculation, but he's added some flames to the fire, fuel to the fire, whatever.
Fuel to the fire.
Analogy is.
You don't need to have flames to fire.
Well, more flames, more fire. That's what I'm thinking.
I guess.
But he came out and tweeted, 10 days until you get me, the real me, the version of me I've been so ready to share with y'all for a decade. Start the countdown. Now, he posted that on the 22nd of May. We are currently, at the time of recording, on the 25th of May. BST.
Still a lot of waiting.
UK time. But yeah, so.
A lot of waiting.
Still a bit of waiting. But what does
hopefully
that
it's like, hopefully it's something cool. Like, if he ends up just getting Me Too or something like that, I'm going to be so disappointed. That was the real him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, do we think that we're going to see him in another promotion? Is he already got something signed and he's going to show up and he's going to be a different character? Is he, going to become a librarian? We don't really know. What is the real him? No one actually knows. But
I mean, I've got to admit, I'm intrigued.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, I suppose you've got to kind of do that. So it seems like it's pretty evident that he's gone now fully from his WWE contract. He must have been waiting down some kind of, non-compete clause or something like that. And yeah, we are going to see him pop up somewhere. I would love to be the kind of journalist or news reporter that does the research and looks up what exactly is happening in 10 days' time from the time he said this. But I haven't done that. So Yeah, who knows? Maybe he's going to be on a show somewhere that makes perfect sense and you all know already. But for me,
When's Slammiversary, Carl?
not that soon.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
When's
it's
when's you can't even keep track of AEW. Not necessarily
double or
pay per
nothing.
view. They got a
Double
unique
or nothing.
AEW that Wednesday.
Yeah, I mean, it's on Friday this week, which is annoying to me. But still, no, they only have double or nothing. But I don't know whether that means it's going to be then. I don't really know. I can't do maths right now. But yeah, so who
I'm
knows?
calling Impact because he's good mates with Matt Cardona.
He is. He is. Let's be honest. That is the most likely place to go from WWE. Is Impact, as is tradition.
As is tradition. Love it. So, Carl, did you know WWE suffered some backlash recently due to some zombie appearances in a zombie lumberjack match at Backlash, ironically. Almost like we planned it. And a lot of people have panned this. A lot of people. It's been panned by other wrestlers, been panned by the likes of Batista, Chris Jericho, everyone offering their tuppence. And to be fair, it was a bit fucking stupid. And again, I know a lot of people try and defend this shit, but I'm just like, it didn't actually match anything to do with the particular match they interrupted. It had nothing to do with those characters. It wasn't in keeping with any of that, so it was just kind of fucking stupid. But F4W Online, Carl, apparently confirmed that one Mr. Khan brokered a deal for more than 1 million for that little sponsorship deal with the zombies. So we don't know exactly how much, but we know it was over 1 million. So I mean, let's face it, regardless of what effect or having absolutely no reason or place to put them, if someone says we want a horde of zombies to invade the wrestling ring for over $1 million, you're gonna fucking do it. So
Well,
there was
as we
that.
know, as we know, Anthony, times are trying right now in WWE. They've had to release so many wrestlers because of budgetary reasons, and an extra £1 million here or there will
Yeah.
only help their
And
coffers.
you know what?
And
They released a load of stars. They gained £1 million. They injured another star with this segment. So it's not like they need wrestlers on the show week in, week out. So
nah.
that's not too concerning at all. But they made money. They made money. So over $1 million for that. I'm not even sure. Like who was it for? Like who watches wrestling and has absolutely no awareness at all of that sort of movie. Like if you look at the target audience for like they've paid over $1 million to WWE to have this, right? And I know they've got millions of viewers wrestling wise, but surely of those millions of viewers wrestling wise, the number becomes a little bit more finite when you go, wrestling fans who really like zombie films. Like, okay, that gets a little bit more niche. You know what I mean? So
I
I'm
mean,
like, was it worth over $1 million?
to be fair to them, I think rightly or wrongly, they have garnered a lot of attention. Negative from
No
most,
such thing
but
as bad press, I suppose.
well, exactly. So, to your point, where it probably is a quite decent crossover of people who watch wrestling and like zombie movies, right? But this is like kind of became a major news story of what the fuck is happening. WWE are putting zombies on their show, as it gone to the fucking to the death or what?
Do you
And
think it was deliberate? Now they're
I
everywhere
mean,
promoting a zombie film.
well, I think
God damn it.
for them to get it in the mainstream, they had to make it seem almost like it was a crazy thing, and it's like, well, actually, because I imagine you like me will have seen many things on social media of WWE and zombies. We know the reason why clickbait, and it's like, well, it's because people will go, well, yeah, why did they do that? Go on, oh, there's a
Army of the
movie,
Dead.
Army of the Dead. That makes sense. So
Damn it. We're such marks, Carl.
from a marketing perspective, it makes perfect sense. From us as wrestling fans having to watch the fucking shit show that is Raw, it's a fucking nightmare. Like, me as a fan, would I have preferred a fucking, 2 minute, 3 minute trailer? Absolutely. But
Which
this
is
got
mad
more people
because you know
speaking.
what?
So.
Like, I know they'd probably have to play a pre-made trailer, but like WWE is so good at video packages that I'd let them do something like that.
Yeah.
Let them roll with that shit. Because they are. Like, I'll talk about it when we get to NXT, but they're actually really good when it comes to video packages, hype packages. Let them hype the film that way.
But it's what I mean. It's one of them, isn't it? I think, obviously, shame on WWE for letting their product be this vehicle, but at the same time, there's that many people that have caused such a fucking fuss over this, around it being like, this shouldn't be on the show, etc., etc. It's become mainstream news, and that's all that the marketing team ever wanted. So
it's a slow slope, but eventually we're gonna be like, hang on, do you remember when there used to be wrestling on WWE, and you're just watching 3 hours worth of infomercials?
I mean,
Drew McIntyre comes out, and instead of the sword, he's got like a new multi-knife that can cut through tin cans. Like, for fuck's sake!
3, 2, 1, chop your carrots. Yeah. I'd buy it, but I'm a Drew Mark, so makes sense. So yeah, interesting.
Yeah, so they made money. They made money.
WWE makes money and fires
WWE
people.
make money.
Okay, so the next one to talk about. So, bada bing, bada boom. The realest guy in the room just got concussed the fuck out. So Enzo Amore was basically rushed to the hospital after he was knocked out on a DDT spot on a recent wrestling appearance. So basically, the update on it all is that he took a bit of a sore one from DDT, and got knocked unconscious. And storyline said, take him to hospital, make sure that he's all fine, and he seems to be okay. The update, from Enzo himself was like, thanks everybody. So he's clearly tweeting again and is fine, but just a bit of a small one. But Enzo Amore gets injured, concussed potentially at a indie show.
Yeah, but no, it's nice to know you're all right though. The main thing, Enzo.
That's it.
And you know what? I know WWE kind of just fucked up your tag team and then sacked both of you, but I really liked you guys. You were cool.
You were cool.
Isn't there some suggestion that him and Cass can work together again now? I know they were together on that indie show, but
I mean, potentially. I think
let's get the old band back together. Come on.
I think we could see them on WWE in the next year and a half.
Do you think?
That's my bold prediction. When it happens, come back.
Fair, when they asked Big Cass, he didn't rule out if he was given the opportunity. He did not rule it out at all, did he?
No. I think, by all accounts, they didn't leave on bad terms. I mean, I think Enzo rubbed a few people the wrong way. Then people aren't necessarily with the company anymore, and there's a belief. There's a belief
with the turnaround of WWE these days. Eventually the people you pissed off just aren't there anymore.
That is true. So now we get the opportunity to rub a whole new set of people the wrong way. But yeah, so I don't know. I think that they were a nice little tag team together, and I think especially in NXT before they came up to the main roster, I think they were something different and something needed for that time. So
I think
if they do get the opportunity,
honestly I didn't know anything about them. I weren't watching NXT at the time when they debuted on Raw, and they were they come out and they cut that Boss promo against Bubba Ray and Devon. I think it was at the time. I was like, yeah, that's Boss. Like these guys have got it. Don't know what it is, but they've got it. And then, well, you know the rest. The rest
is
history. Such a friendly guy, though. He asks everyone how they're doing and stuff. He seems like a really nice guy.
That's it.
Anyone up the wrong way?
He's really self-aware as well. He knows he's the realest, guy in the room. So, clearly can't be pissing people off. Not like
that. So next one, Carl. This might involve a little bit of talking here, Carl. So Keith Lee. This is took a turn. Like originally, when I noted this on our notes, there was a single tweet, but there's been a few bits since, right? So we had basically a fan saying, "Dude, what's next?" And Keith Lee responded with, "Oh, good question. Unfortunately, only time will tell, my friend." And this has led to what does that mean? Only time will tell. What does he mean? It's a good question. What does he mean? What's next? Etc. Etc. So like, is he leaving wrestling? Is it is this, that, and the next thing? And this has sparked a lot of people to then pester the life out of him and Mia Yim. And then this has also resulted in me and Ian basically being like, mind your business. Paraphrasing, obviously, I don't know exactly how she phrased it. And Keith Lee has basically just said he needs a little more time, and then he'll start to be able to explain it in the right way and so on like that. But it's also led to this sort of onslaught of people being like, you're not entitled to answers, you're not entitled to this just because you're a fan. Leave them alone, it's their private business, blah, blah, blah. And I'm sure some fans are fucking assholes and they're speculating this, that, and the next thing. But at the end of the day, maybe, if you, and I don't know, this might be polarizing, but if you're going to put a tweet out there about like, I can't wait to be back, and trust me, I've got a lot of ground to make up and stuff like that, you were going to provoke a lot of people going, where are you? What's going on? So, kind of like, I don't know. For me, it's little bit like when you turn around, or like when the likes of me and Jim turn around and go, oh, basically mind your own business kind of thing, or even Keith saying, be patient. It's like, well, you've provoked it. You've caused this whole thing of like, oh, let's ask me some questions about why I'm not here because I've talked about being keen to get back, but none of us know why you're not back. And don't get me wrong, that doesn't excuse dickheads. People shouldn't be dickheads. If people are pestering them and speculating about their health and stuff like that, it's not cool. But you can understand people being keen and wanting to engage. And he's mentioned about a lot of fans and a lot of lovely messages in the DMs and stuff like that. So I know he's not being like difficult about it, but it's like, if you, I don't know. To me, if you're not ready to talk about it, then maybe don't like tweet about wanting to get back. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, yeah, people should mind their own business, and I'm not gonna try and argue and defend the point of people who like asking for like hospital records and shit. I'm just saying, like, you've got to expect those kind of like assholes when you go onto a public platform and talk about not being on TV and wanting to be back.
Well, that's it. I mean, he is a public figure, whether he likes it or not, and so people will ask him questions. They will speculate. They will say things he likes, doesn't like, etc., etc. He doesn't have to read them all. He doesn't have to respond to them.
He doesn't have to respond at all. No.
He could just be like, we've had a few things ourselves, on the show. People being like, no one gives a fuck about your interview or XYZ. Random messages or comments and things like that, and it's like, well, okay, like you don't have to respond to them if you don't want to. It's like it's one of them, I think.
All good.
At the end of the day, us doing this, same as Keith doing WWE, we put ourselves out there on a public platform, and people have the right to say
his public platform is fucking massive, so he's going to have
exactly
a lot more of it. And
exactly.
With more positivity comes more negativity, sadly.
Yeah, so it's one of them, like, people, a lot of people will genuinely just be concerned and want to see him back. Other people will be, just internet trolls, as you have, and will be, very horrible and negative. But it's for him to log onto the app and choose to interact or, respond to these things. So ultimately, I think, yeah, it's one of them. If he has nothing to say, don't say anything at all. I think him replying to things and being a bit like, well, time will tell and stuff like that, it's like, is it adding fuel to the fire? Like, absolutely. Like,
for me, if that's deliberate, that's awesome. Like, fine, do it. Like, if you're building hype for you coming back because you're coming back, then yeah, go for it by all means. But it's more the turnaround, the other side of it, and it's not necessarily even him directly. But when people are like, "Oh, you mind your business. It's nothing to do with you. Leave the man alone. It's his private life." And it's like, but that's why we're speculating, because we're excited at the prospect of him coming back, and that's what he's hinted at.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, it's one of them, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's weird. But, I think it's mad because no one has a single clue, what's happening with him. And I think there's a lot of speculation. There's been things ranging from, like, COVID stuff to, like, weight issues to, major health issues unrelated to COVID. And, yeah, no one knows. And obviously when people don't know, they like to just speculate on things. And I think it's one of them. I think, all we can do as people is to just, not bother him, I guess. But if you're going to bother him, then, you've got the right to, because he's got a public, platform. But at the same time, he can just ignore you and not come back with things that make you speculate even more. So, yeah.
Now, okay, but let's go slightly away from the actual tweets themselves and the speculation. At some point, this guy is an awesome wrestler. He clearly has a passion for wrestling. And we like to, unless it's something totally out of left field, we imagine he's going to come back to the ring. what do you think of him coming back? Do you think he should come back to Raw and continue where he was? Would you like to see him go back to NXT, or would you like to see him move to SmackDown? Because I'll put it out there now. My personal opinion: I think if he rocked up on SmackDown and went into a program with Roman Reigns, I'd be all for that.
I mean, Raw is a fucking death sentence. NXT is a step
I don't
back.
need to see him tussle with, Drew McIntyre and Bobby
No.
Lashley and that again.
No,
I really
we've
don't.
seen it.
Like,
It's happened.
yeah.
Like, if
I
he
think
comes back,
let's
it
make
is still
it fresh as
SmackDown.
fuck and have him come back to that.
Yeah.
I don't know how you'd feel about it, but how would you feel about him going up against Roman Reigns? Because I think that'd be just perfect.
I mean, perfectly honest, I think he still has some character work to do. I've made a few different, remarks or jokes at his expense around, Malcolm in the Middle, Stevie. Some of his promo stuff has been too over the top.
Let's face it, I actually agree with you there, because to be fair, I don't like, and apologies because he was in NXT a while before I started watching NXT religiously, but I don't really recall any particularly like big promos in there either. He was awesome, his work in the ring's awesome, and you can totally see why he got to the point he did, why he was the first ever person to hold both the NA and NXT title. But yeah, I do take your point on the character work points.
Yeah,
especially when you go up against someone who's doing so well in character building at the minute, it could point it out even more, couldn't it?
Yeah, defo. I think it's one of them. He clearly has a lot of talent, and he clearly has a lot of, charisma and promo ability. I just think that the stuff he's done so far has been underwhelming for me, because it has been a bit too slow and, meticulous. And it's like, okay, just speak. Just, what is it you're trying to say? Just fucking
Thing is,
get it over with.
Ironically, I got to see more personality out of him in that film, The Main Event, on Netflix.
Yeah.
And I don't know, because that's probably less free because it's very scripted, but he seemed more natural.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Here we are. But yeah, hopefully whatever is going on with him isn't too serious. Hopefully we get, to see him back soon. And yeah, it's one of them. Obviously we can discuss or debate around, trivial things like promo ability and stuff like that. But ultimately we just want him to be back. I want him to be, healthy, safe, and
Keith, we just want to bask in your glory.
We do. We want to bask in your motherfucking glory, man. So, yeah. Hopefully you come back, you do some good shit, and yeah, hopefully just stop interacting with people until you've got something to say. That's all I will say. So, the next one to talk about, Anthony, Impact tease big names for Slammiversary. Like they've totally never done that before.
Anyway. I'm fucking pissed off because I know it's not true. I'm so confident it's not true that they can fuck right off. This is Bulgarian flag all over again. No, I mean, I'm not buying it. Fuck off.
It is. So this time last year, Impact did something very similar where, in kind of conjunction with the releases that the WWE did, they went a bit to town on saying who they might get for the Slammiversary pay-per-view, and so they went a bit over the top. People, as as you've said, Rusev and so on and so forth, and we never ended up seeing them. And now this year,
what annoys me is that the ones they got, I think, were almost like, I don't know. It was almost disappointing because they were speculating so many different ones. That's like when the Good Brothers and when the likes of Rhino and that rocked up, and Heath Slater, like you go, oh, that's cool and all, but where's Rusev? And it shouldn't be like that because these guys are awesome names to get. But because they were teasing one, you're then like, well, where's Rusev? And I feel like we're at the risk of doing this again. Like, they're probably going to get a surprise return from someone. And I say return because I imagine it's a former Impact alum who has been in WWE for a time. I would not be surprised, let's say, if we saw Chelsea Green. Because it just makes sense. But
Samoa Joe.
No, I've said it. I'm sticking with Chelsea Green. But because they're now teasing, sorry, it's your news article, Carl. Who are they teasing?
Well, I mean, fucking tell us, Anthony, since you already fucking know anyway.
No, it's yours.
I'll just sit here, you know what I mean? But no, so obviously there's been quite a few names that they have teased over, a series of different, promo videos or so for the event. So obviously they've gone, we've had Mickey James, we've had Samoa Joe, we've had Chelsea Green, as you've already said, but this time they introduced the likes of Daniel Bryan, with the whole yes, yes, yes little kind of I don't know, graphic, if you will, that kind of came up in the middle of the promo. And yeah, I don't really know, to be fair. Obviously, we know that Samoa Joe has gone, and he was a former TNA guy. We've got Billy Kay and Peyton Royce. Where are they going to go? It would make sense, I suppose, to a degree, for them to be an Impact,
let's
because
get the Iconics in AEW. That's one thing I do want.
I mean, that's what I want, but at the same time, Matt Cardona.
But AEW, it just makes better sense, and they really need to invest in their women's side. Still, like, they're doing well, they're doing better than they were. But if they invest in, like, all right, you could argue, debate on their ring ability, or you like, they were great personalities to have, and I think would really, yeah. Over to AEW, Carl. Make it happen.
Make it happen. Tony Khan, you're listening.
Carl,
make it happen.
You make it happen.
Oh, fucking hell. All right, fine.
Go on. Bought your plane tickets. Go on, off you go.
Fine. All right. Okay, guys. Bye. I kid, of course. So there was quite a few people obviously released. Samoa Joe, former Impact guy, Billy Kay, Peyton Royce, Mickey James also teased quite a bit. Chelsea Green, Tucker, Kalisto, Bo Dallas, Wesley Blake, all people that were released.
This is the thing that worries me, though. Like, and this is no disrespect. I'm picking these names, unfortunately, for an obvious reason, but I'm not disrespecting these guys at all. It's just because of the way they've been used in WWE. But when you're teasing the likes of Daniel Bryan, you get to Slammiversary, and it's like, it's Tucker and Wesley Blake. You'd be like, oh.
Yeah.
So this is the bit that always kind of worries me, especially because of what happened last time.
No,
Stupid
true.
Bulgarian
and like, to be fair, I don't think that we are going to see Daniel Bryan in TNA or Impact. So
I don't think we're going to see him for a little bit. I think he's going to have a bit of time and weigh up what he wants.
I mean, by all accounts, he is going to do something with WWE again, which would make sense. It's what a lot of people speculated. So yeah, it's one of them. I think
because he made echoes before his contract expired. He made echoes about wanting to balance family life and wrestling and so on. Like, I think he's going to get nice and comfortable at home, and we're not going to see him on screen anywhere for a little bit. You always get that itch. It's like a wrestling thing, isn't it? Like, they're never done. It's hard to be done with the business. But I think he's definitely due a break, and I don't think we'll see him for Slammiversary.
Agreed.
I think that yes should be a no. Anyway, Carl. So the next one. Let's talk about Rey Mysterio again, but this time let's talk about his daughter. No, Murphy, not like that. For fuck's sake. So basically, again, in talks with Rey Mysterio, this has come from the Wrestling Inc., but there's an interesting one to say. That sounded mean. Like, they're always interesting, Wrestling Inc., love yous. So there was talk with Rey about the potential of his daughter wrestling. This talk came about quite coincidentally at a time when Rey reckons that his wife had asked a very similar question a couple of days before. And he suggested that maybe she was asking because his daughter has expressed some interest in getting into wrestling, and his wife was sort of sounding him out on the idea. And there's no sort of like specifics like, hey, this is definitely happening, but he's obviously expressed the fact that she has always been a wrestling fan since she was a kid, that if she was interested in doing it, he would definitely be a trainer, and he would back 100%, 1000%, I think even he said. And he would definitely be totally supportive of it. What he did say is right now she's in education at the moment, looking into I don't think they were specific about it, but into the medical profession, and he would like her to continue with what she started there in that sense, and that's what she was interested in. But there's no reason, if she was interested in the wrestling biz, that she couldn't sort of start training with Rey, and maybe we could see her into probably the WWE at some point. So very speculative, Carl, very speculative. But what do you think of the idea that maybe this was like her sounding Rey out on the idea? And what do you think of the idea of her being, like, we obviously saw her involved in the whole Buddy Murphy angle and that weird romance and potentially his illegitimate child, because let's fucking do that again, Seth? all those sort of storylines. So she's got involved in the storyline elements of it. I mean, what do you think of the potential of it being potentially a future women's champion? Let's go that far with it.
Yeah, no.
No, not keen.
No. I mean, she did fine, in the time that she had with the company. I think, do I want to see her, on a weekly basis as a wrestling superstar? Based on what she showed so far, no. I don't think it's her passion. I don't think she's really into it. I think obviously she's Rey Mysterio's daughter, and she wants to be, in the limelight to some degree. But yeah, as a wrestling entity, I don't think she showed any kind of desire or dedication to do that. And so, you know, we have quite openly spoken about Dominic and his kind of lack of training and so on and so forth for the opportunity he has, and at least he's fucking had training. So
well, that's the thing. I mean, he's trained at, like, when we say lack of training, like he's trained with Ray for a long time, hasn't he? It's like it's this formal side of it where he's not really come up through the Performance Center or come up through NXT, and he's still very green, in terms of work. He knows how to work with Ray, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly.
But so, like you say, she hasn't even got that far yet. I mean, she's still very young at the same time, so if she took an interest in it, she could spend the next few years training with Ray religiously, and then, she could surprise us. We could see, like, absolute dominance in the ring. You never know.
That's it. I mean, for me, I never got vibes from her that she is going to be interested in the wrestling biz. I got vibes of, like, some kind of interviewer or some kind of, like, reporter or something like that. Something in media, but...
Do you think the bug might have got her if the audience had been there?
Maybe. You know what?
There's a difference, isn't there, when you see people cheering you on and you can feel that vibe from the crowd?
That is a fantastic shout, to be fair. I think, who knows, if we see her come back in front of a live audience, I guess we'll know that was a concern that she may have had. But
we know, I actually think it's funny you mentioned about, like, the sort of reporting side of it, because I think we could potentially see it as, like, especially if she's looking into the business and maybe training, like, as a backstage interviewer and that sort of thing, would be a boss shout, I could definitely see that happening. Obviously,
yeah, me too.
All speculative.
I think ultimately it comes down to what she wants to do. I think she tried it out for a bit. It was in, like, a storyline, but it was very much like a soap opera style storyline. And so, does she want to be in the biz? Does she want to learn how to wrestle? Does she want to just be like a on-screen talent? I don't know, but remains to be seen.
An interesting one to say the least.
And speaking of interesting ones, we talk about AEW's Rey Fenix, because he may be out of Double or Nothing. So basically, he was in a match recently, and he potentially got injured. So that is pretty much the nuts and bolts of the story. But he had a match in Mexico, and we basically haven't seen him on AWTV since the end of April. So yeah, it's kind of a case of he was being pushed quite heavily in a lot of different storylines.
He was becoming quite prominent in it, wasn't he?
Well, that was it. And so you would imagine we would be seeing him in, at least the, Casino Battle Royal or something like that. But as of this time, we haven't seen him advertised at all. So
it seems likely he's not going to be there. He's definitely going to be back for Double or Nothing by the looks of it.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it. But yeah, interesting that they've allowed him to go out and wrestle for, AAA, and yeah, he's ended up getting injured, and as a result, there's been no there's been speculation, but there's been no concrete evidence to say that he is going to be out of, tapings for a while or off TV for a while, but we haven't seen him after this particular event, and so yeah, speculation begins of he's potentially injured. So yeah, if he is, obviously hope that he recovers soon, and yeah, who knows.
Hopefully if he is, it's nothing too major, and we do see him back on TV soon. I do sincerely hope it's a work, and we're going to see him rock up and ruin someone's day on Double or Nothing. Hopefully Cody's. I joke, of course. I joke.
Stop joking.
I'm not joking. So next one, Calm. WWE maybe bringing back the $1 million belt. Now, this might not be too surprising, actually, because over the last few weeks, as you know, on NXT, we've seen the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, interacting with Cameron Grimes. And the going belief, and apparently a spoiler, but obviously we don't know whether this is... we'll say, I don't want to say confirmed just yet, because it's not come from WWE itself or anything like that, and this may be a spoiler, or it may just be something that's been made up, let's say. But no, it seems likely. A joke. But yeah, they reckon, the belief is that this, I want to say, feud between Cameron Grimes and Ted DiBiase is going to culminate in some sort of, I don't want to say match because it's Ted DiBiase and, you know, he's older and that. But it looks like they might have a result where Cameron Grimes ends up being the $1 Million champion and getting the $1 Million belt. You know, just to further this fucking angle that nobody wanted this new character where he's made money out of Bitcoin. Apparently one of the only few people who have made money out of Bitcoin, barring Elon Musk. You know, but yeah, you can totally make money on Bitcoin. That's what we want to promote here. Go for it. Do it. Buy a random digital currency. It's definitely not going to bite you in the ass. Was it Bitcoin? Might have been GameStop. Either way, all are very dodgy. So yeah, so the continuing with this shit. I've got some more to talk about that on NXT. We had him sort of ruining Cameron's match essentially. So they're definitely building to something. And I could moan about this all day, but like it feels aimless as fuck. But apparently we're gonna give Cameron Grimes a belt for no reason, maybe. How do you feel about this, Carl? This might be like a spit in the face for you because you were around for the original $1 Million belt and all that. Just gold from back in the day.
I'm fucking fuming, to be honest.
I thought you might be.
Yeah. Cameron fucking Grimes being the successor for the $1 Million fucking belt.
Cameron fucking Grimes.
Cameron fucking Grimes. You know, you think obviously
the guy they gave a cowboy gimmick to because they were like,
don't get me wrong. Virgil held this belt at one point, and you know I do love Soul Train Jones. But yeah, I don't know. I just think. This is, you know, if there's ever been clutching at straws, this was it. It was like, how do we go somewhere with Cameron Grimes? Well, let's put him in a GameStop, you know, money-winning thing, and then let's introduce other things. He's rich now. Rich. $1 Million man. Amazing. Let's get him in a program with that. Where can we go? I don't know. $1 Million man had a $1 Million title. Perfect. What a load of shit. Cameron Grimes, if he gets this fucking belt, has ruined the history of people who've held this belt. Stone Cold fucking Steve Austin held this belt. I'm fucking fuming.
Love this. I fucking love this. This is boss. I popped for Ted DiBiase when he first showed up. That 1 week when he outdid Cameron Grimes with the watch. That's all I ever needed. He didn't need to continue this. That was it. Just that one bit where you go, that's boss. Nice pop. And it's exactly the type of thing Cameron Grimes would do. That's all he needed. But no, let's turn this into something because fuck it, why not? And I'm just going to make it even worse for you, Carl. Do you know exactly what's going to happen, don't you? He's going to hold that belt for like a week and then they're going to redesign the fucking thing.
No, don't.
Yes. It's going to be a big WWE logo made up of loads of little dollar signs. That's what it is. It's
going to be like a fucking WWE logo with like Bitcoin symbols on the side or something.
Oh, fuck sake. Yeah, they are going to do Bitcoin, aren't they? He's going to change it from dollar signs to Bitcoins. Yeah, I can feel this already happening.
The Bitcoin belt. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they're going to I'm confident he's going to get this belt and they're going to fucking redesign it as well. Because WWE can't leave classic titles alone. And don't be wrong, this isn't exactly the most prestigious title in the world, but it's still iconic. Like, you still remember the look of that belt. You know, fuck sake, Carl. I've upset myself with one.
I mean, I will be fuming if they change it. I will be fucking fuming.
I'll put money on it now. I will make you a gentleman's bet right now for the sum of £4.09. Right? And I will. I'll bet you that they're going to change that belt.
How about £3.27? Yeah, fucking hell. Okay.
So we're going to see the title back. We're going to see some culmination of this feud between him and Ted DiBiase, and hopefully That's it. It's a throwaway moment, and we don't have Cameron Graham strutting out with this fucking belt every week because we don't want that.
We will. We really will. Speaking of things you don't want.
What a segue.
So unfortunately, and this is pretty serious news. So former WWE WCW star Buff Bagwell has been arrested on more than 10 separate charges. So again, according to Wrestling Inc., Cobb County Jail, their records show that Bagwell was arrested and charged with misdemeanor driving under the influence of drugs, a misdemeanor open container violation, 4 misdemeanor charges of hit and run, misdemeanor speeding, misdemeanor failing to yield when entering an intersection, misdemeanor of giving false name or address or birth date to law enforcement officers, 3 charges of following too closely, misdemeanor of reckless driving, misdemeanor driving within a gore or median of emergency lane, misdemeanor duty upon striking a fixed object, misdemeanor driving on the wrong side of the roadway, and a misdemeanor license to be carried and exhibited on demand. Yeah.
Wow. That is
a lot of
nice
stuff.
Little list of things. Right.
A lot of stuff. So yeah. Never nice to see this kind of thing. Obviously Buff Bagwell, especially in his time in WCW more than his time in WWE, was seen as a big fan favorite. A lot of people were huge fans of his, and it is a shame to see obviously him in this current day being kind of accused of all these things. And yeah, hopefully there's some kind of, I don't know, I'm trying to say in a nice way, I hope it's not true. I hope there's some kind of thing in there where it's not all them things, or there's something. But yeah, I don't know. I just think whatever's happened, and obviously him being charged with these things, I just hope that he gets some help and he gets some people looking out for him, and ultimately turns his life around.
With these things, it's like obviously something's definitely gone on. And when you list it like that, it sounds like, oh wow, he's done loads of stuff. But it's like it's a singular incident, isn't it? He's obviously, there's the open container element. There's the obviously the multiple elements of various driving offences. There's the hitting an object. It sounds like one instance where he's maybe I don't know if they mentioned alcohol, but I assume open container element.
Yeah.
He's had like some sort of incident like that, but even like elements of like failing to carry his license. I mean, that's something that he probably would have got a warning for. But let's tack it on while we're mentioning stuff. You know what I mean? So there's definitely a slight exaggerative element to it. But yeah, like you say, hopefully he gets the help he needs. I mean, it's you don't know what motivated the whole situation, but yeah, sounds like a bit of a madman.
I mean, for me, it's one of them. I think speaking to Adam Bomb, Brian Clark, and obviously he faced some serious allegations, which he, vehemently denies, and he's got reasons and rationale behind why he denies them things, and you never know what gets reported.
It's an interesting example because he took it all the way to court and won. So you just don't know, do you? Like you say,
it's one of them. So we don't want to speculate. All we can do is report on the news and what we know right now in terms of the information that's out there. But yeah, if Buff is if that is the case with him, then hopefully, yeah, it's one of them, isn't it? I think you just hope that he gets on the right path and he recovers from this and can get back to being himself and living the life that he had, because obviously there's a lot of charges here, and it seems like whether it's happened and it's one lapse of judgment, or whether it's something more than that, or maybe it's nothing at all. We don't really know. But yeah, all we can do is hope the best for Buff and hope that he gets back on his feet pretty soon.
Yeah, a bit of a strange one, that, mate. Really is. So the next one, unfortunately, is I'm not exactly raising the tone back to let's be fun. It's the sad news, obviously. Alexa Bliss, as a lot of people who are fans of Alexa Bliss or fans of Total Divas will know, she's had a pet pig for some time. I believe if you're a fan of Total Divas, you'll have seen the pig as like a little baby pig. So she had this pet for some time. She named him Larry Steven. And he's a member of the family too, if you will. And sadly, he passed away. I think not long after the Monday Night Raw just gone, and unfortunately, she's mentioned there that she had to leave him with family when she went to do Monday Night Raw. She had to leave him in pain, and was basically like she's mentioned about like she spoke to 30. They were uncomfortable treating him due to size being a reason, which is unusual because I wouldn't have said he was excessively big for a pig, but no, I know animal expert like. So sadly, she's obviously very good about this being sort of pet owners, Carl. You know how it is, like it's never fun dealing with stuff like that. So I don't think we really need to talk too much on it. It's just more like it's a bit of sad news, unfortunately, and a bit of a shame that no vets were willing to treat the poor pig, really.
Yeah, defo. I think to your point, obviously we've got pets who are part of our family, and have unfortunately passed away, and it's hard because they are part of your family, and you're with them every day of your life, and it's one of them things. I think
bring a bit of life to your house, don't they? So you notice
That's
their
it.
absence. It's not like I know some people are very much like animals are like it's not as big a deal, but like she was obviously very much like she obviously animated her pets. She was very they were very into a little pet pig, and she had a lot of love for him, and so I can totally sympathise where she's coming from there.
Yeah, I mean, everything we saw from her on like social media and stuff like that, a lot of the time was starring Larry, and I think she slept with the pig.
Let's be honest,
fucking...
right? This guy, he wasn't just loved by Alexa. This pig had an Instagram account of his own and had more followers than us.
Yeah.
Like, not petty about it, I'm just saying. 90,000 followers, so he was well loved beyond just Alexa. Do you know what I mean? So it is a shame.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think any time you kind of suffer that loss of a family member, be it a pet or be it someone else, a lot of the time it's so much the same. And I think she absolutely loved that pig, and she would talk about him on constantly, and it would be a big part of her life. And I think the fact that as well that she knew something was wrong with him and she couldn't find anyone to treat him.
Yeah, there's the frustration there of like you don't want to see the poor animal in pain, and obviously she had to leave him in that state because no one would treat him. It's a bit shit that.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah,
and also for those interested, that's the reason that she was. I think her presence was felt in Raw, but she was actually absent from the subsequent Raw. You're going to talk about that, Carl, but I think she wasn't physically there, but they kind of carried on the story, as it were. But that's the reason why.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think we wish her all the best, I guess, from us, and obviously in this hard time, and people. Straight away, you get people on social media, especially Twitter, saying things like, well, at least you got bacon now, at least you got... And it's just...
See, this is the thing, like, when it comes to stuff like this, especially because it's an animal, people, they'll go to the humour and they want to make jokes that are a bit dickish, but she's obviously, like you say, she loved them and she's upset about it, so, like you say, hopefully, just...
Not cool.
Not cool. Not cool.
And speaking of not cool... Terrible segue. I feel so bad. I didn't even mean that, but still. So, an interesting one, really. So, as we said a couple of weeks ago, Raw got a new commentator, formerly of ESPN, I believe, Adnan Virk, and he was appointed by the new kind of... What is his title? That Khan dude in WWE. He's basically responsible for,
Executive Vice President of Talent.
Yeah, is he?
I'll give you John Laurinaitis' old title.
Yeah, something like that. But he is quite heavily
I couldn't say
involved
Lauren
in terms
Iverson.
of
That's not good stuff.
he is shaping obviously the product, and he's got heavy involvement in the hiring or firing of both on-screen talent, and behind the scenes personnel. And one of his main
Boy, does he use
hires.
that power?
Oh boy. But yeah, so one of his main hires was obviously A2theK, who joined the Raw commentary team just 7 weeks ago. And I think initial feedback wasn't great, unfortunately, about him. But, I think a lot of people wanting to give him the time to settle in and just get used to the product,
Nah, fuck
obviously.
that. Get rid.
Well, yeah, I mean, there is that angle as well. But, we've seen in the past, a big example that comes to mind for me was Mike Adamle. He was obviously very notable for doing the whole Jeff Harvey incident, and as soon as he said that, that was it. That was his nail in the coffin. And I think, to be fair to A2theK, I think he wasn't familiar with the wrestling product, and he tried his best. And yeah,
I believe
unfortunately,
the nail in the coffin for him was when he called Drew McIntyre Michael McIntyre. I mean, who would do something stupid like that?
Yeah, by the way, Anthony, you're fired. But no, separately to all that, of course.
As long as you don't replace me with A2theK.
I mean, I wouldn't take a step down.
I'd be a bit salty about that, I'll be honest.
We kid. But no, obviously, it is a shame for him. I think, we wanted him to have the best opportunity to succeed, and obviously he was a hire by, I want to say Nick Khan. I could be wrong. I think he's called Nick Khan. But basically, the whole WWE new guy that is responsible for these things, he brought him to the party because he wanted him to bring that kind of real sports feel to the product, and unfortunately,
he made
just
it too
didn't.
real.
Well, yeah, exactly. He said the world, he said belt. He said,
You know what? I fucking love WWE. He wanted to bring that real sports feel at the same time that he fucking had zombies attack the ring.
Well, yeah.
Can't have it both ways, can't.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, obviously unfortunate news for him, but yeah, we hope he finds, his feet and he gets back into the whole broadcasting setup. I'm sure he
Let's
will.
be honest,
I think it's
with
just
how
the
randomly
fact.
you can be released in that company, I think everyone must be on fucking tenterhooks all the time. So it must be kind of, a relief to know that you're not going to have to be nervous as fuck about saying the wrong thing.
And I mean, I think as well, everyone has documented who has worked on commentary that you've got Vince in your ear constantly. So for someone who is a broadcasting expert from ESPN, you would think he would be a bit like, all right, Vince, fuck off. Like, let me do my thing. So who knows? Was it him botching things? Was it him, not having the, not resonating with fans? I don't really know. It could have been just Vince not liking him. But yeah, obviously it's a shame to see him go after this whole reshuffle, and who knows what that means now for the Raw commentary team.
Let's bring back Jerry the King.
I mean, I'm down for it.
I would be down. I'm not sure he's allowed on a PG product though.
Well, that's probably the reason he got took away. I don't think he can listen to anyone. If he's gonna look at someone, he's gonna say puppies. That's all I'm gonna say.
If they have it back, you have to be like, okay, we've got a women's match coming up. Jerry, do you want to go and have a drink or take a break while this match is on? Because we cannot trust what you're going to say.
I mean, yeah, basically. But yeah, obviously, we wish him the best in whatever he does next. I'm not going to say best in future endeavours because that would be terrible of me to do that.
He's already had that letter, Carl, for fuck's sake.
Exactly. So don't rub it in. But yeah, obviously, I don't know. I think
it's shit. I don't think he was given long enough to prove his point. I mean, we know he's been released, but we don't know whether it was like a mutual agreement. So I'm saying it like he's been sacked. It might not be the case. He might have totally agreed, and it wasn't working out on his side as well. But it's one of them. Like he's a decent commentator, so I'm sure he won't struggle for work.
Fingers crossed. And that, Anthony, was the Ringside Report. That was all the news. And it took us over an hour this week because we had fucking 13 different things to talk about.
Stuff kept coming up today. Most of this we already had planned out, and it's like, oh, this happened, this happened.
Breaking news. You can expect that. You can expect that from us. That's all I'm saying. We are cutting edge. We are
dedicated, committed. Except, when we go, I can't be bothered doing Monday.
I mean, yeah, except for that. But still. And that was, of course, the Ringside Report. And we will be back after this wonderful outro from some wonderful people.
You're watching or listening
to A to the K.
The A2theK.
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 These guys are awesome. Check it out.
Check it out. Change your life. You'll be thanking me later.